Aline. Fucking Aline. Now, why I didn't have that perspective at all, I honestly didn't think about that shit. I honestly don't give a fuck about Lupe Fiasco teaching nowhere. But, nigga, I've never, in the however many years and months I've known you, I've never fucking agreed with you more. Like, oh my fucking God, yo. And you know what's crazy? It's not that, I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. It's not that he teaching at John Hopkins. It's the fact that he teaching at John Hopkins, if you understand what I'm saying. And maybe I'm wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. I be feeling like Lupe Fiasco be one of them pro-black niggas. So how could you be a pro-black nigga and not do this at a HBCU? Now, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I think I'm right.
Yeah, I agree. Lupe is Kendrick. But to play devil's advocate, if they didn't give him the opportunity, because I'm pretty sure he was approached. You feel me? Like I don't know, and I don't think we know. I would guess. I would assume he's approached for this. Like he probably didn't, go on Monster or Indeed or none of that, and fill out the app and nothing, and send in the resume and shit. So I'm sure he was approached. So is he wrong for taking it? Maybe later on down the line, this will open up the door. I feel like we shouldn't look down on it for real. It's a start.
Okay, and here's where I get what you're saying, Huss, but you gotta like, and this is where I'ma stand on my shit. What did I just spend 5 semesters trying to unravel? It was literally figuring out why we, the black population, the melanated population, right? I'm talking about you, me, DB, Corey, your kids, my niece and nephew, the niggas on the street, everybody with a squeegee in their hand, the niggas who throw gang signs, sold dope, been prostitute, all that. Why are we not in the museum spaces, right? Like you said, DB, you didn't give a fuck about none of that shit until I was like, hey, bro, there's this over here. And then it's like, okay, there's the hip hop aspect of it. All right, cool. That's what my thesis was about. And you're right, there is no indeed, there actually is. But like, for example, I applied for a job at a community college. They're looking for an art director and somebody who could teach art history. Well, what am I going to teach? I'm going to teach my version of art history the hip hop way. So then pretty soon that could transfer into, oh, here's a degree on hip hop. So there are certain things that get lined up that if you're not in the academic space, you don't know how to get there. Yeah, Lupe didn't apply, but there's nobody at Morgan doing this. I even tried to go to my department head and be like, yo, I went to my professors. Hey, let me teach this class this way. Bruh, they laughed at me because I'm not in this quote unquote academia, and that's the line between the streets and the books. They literally draw a line, and I know how to straddle it. Bro, we are completely on the outside looking in of our own academic, intellectual, cultural, like all the aspects of our culture.
Alright, so I think my thing is I don't consider myself a hip hop nigga, bro. Like, I just consider myself a regular person, bro. So yes, I would love if my daughter wanted. I feel like if she wanted to go to Hopkins, she could go to Hopkins. My homegirl Danielle, she wanted to be a doctor. She went to Hopkins and she's a doctor. And she's one of my really good homegirls. And shit like that. But I think I'm not like a rapper. I'm not entrenched in it. This ain't like, you know what I mean? This ain't nothing to me for me to like consider it that. I look at it like a black person, and I believe that yes, my daughters could go to Hopkins if they wanted to go to Hopkins.
Yeah, I'm with you, Aline. I feel like, Huss, I understand what you're saying, but I be feeling like this be my thing when I be like, yo, you do anything for $1, you do anything for $1, bro. Like it's some like you don't have to take all the jobs. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm not well versed. I'm really just speaking from what I think, what I feel, not what I know. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm wrong, I'm here to learn. But I just feel like, nah, you could have did that at a HBCU. It ain't even about coming here. You could have did that in Chicago or wherever. You know what I'm saying? You come for John Hopkins for the name. It's like you trying to get a look instead of give a help. And if I'm wrong, please correct me if I'm wrong.
And I used to go to parties down Hopkins. Hopkins was lit, bro. There's niggas at Hopkins. There definitely wasn't no white parties we was going to when we was at Hopkins. We literally was in that bitch fighting other niggas from other hoods. I get what y'all saying, bro. I look at it completely different. A nigga like you saying they left you out the room at an HBCU who's supposed to be understanding of the culture, right? Doesn't that say something? That literally says what I'm saying. That literally says what I'm saying, bro. Like, it literally says what I'm saying. So if they're willing to give our culture more of a chance, you don't feel like we should accept that? Is that what y'all are saying?
All right. Okay, just the fact that all right, what makes a hip hop nigga? That's what I'm saying. The fact that we get on a podcast every week and we talk for hours about hip hop, that's what makes us hip hop niggas. The fact that our culture is monetized, right? That's what all this about. It's about the exchange of value. Our culture is a monetary value. So I get what you're saying, Huss, and yes, niggas are at Hopkins, right? Cool. Yes, we do go to Hopkins, but how many of us go to Hopkins? Do you know how much it costs? The average person the average black person, right? The average person who graduates from Woodlawn, graduates from Glen Burnie High, graduates from Douglas, right? From Carver, is not going to Hopkins. We can't afford it. Generally, we can't afford it, right? I barely afforded going to Morgan State, and I'm a grown man. So how do you tell a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old right now in 2024 that they can go to Hopkins? Bro, they barely want to go to college, right? In the grand scheme of it. And that's what I'm saying. There are a bunch of different levels to how you get into different places, right? Yeah, I can go to a party at Hopkins. You can go to anybody can go to a party at Hopkins. But are you going to get that paper with the name that says Johns Hopkins on it, right?
All right, my bad. I'm replying as listen. So forgive me if it's coming off I mean, but I don't consider myself a hip hop nigga because other niggas do this. We, like I said in the text last night, we just happen to record it. Everybody does this. Like, this ain't we not doing nothing inventive, nothing new. We just recording it. You know what I mean? Niggas have group chats where they talk about this shit. Niggas are in a lot of things where they talk about this ain't nothing new. So I'm not no hip hop nigga, bro. I'm not no get on here. And I think that we can talk about more things.
That's what part of my experience taught me was that a lot of these people in these fancy places, right, in the Johns Hopkins University, think about the historical legacy of Hopkins. Think about what innovations come out of Hopkins just based on that name. So you're right. He went there simply because if you read the article, somebody's teaching a 4-year degree at Hopkins, a 4-year hip hop degree. That's bananas to me. That means somebody proposed, somebody was a professor at Hopkins. That's how you get those jobs, right? So that means I would have to get the job at Hopkins. So I have to apply to go in there and say, hey, I got this idea to teach this class. And then it'd have to go through an approval process. Well, who's on the approval board? It's the people that run Hopkins. These doctorate, PhD folks that live on the other side of Charles Street, that live out Timonium, that live out in these ritzy houses, they can afford to go to Hopkins. They can afford to make the decisions. They can afford to say, all right, we want these programs, 4-year programs, 2-year programs. That's what I mean by we are on the outside looking in. Yeah, we can go to Hopkins and party all day. The niggas is the DJs. We're the DJs for them white kids. But they don't consider us in mass. Okay, your homegirl went. Well, what about the entire graduating class of Woodlawn High School? Shouldn't they be able to go to Hopkins? That's what I'm talking about when I say we're on the outside looking in of our own culture.
And just to be funny but serious, I like rap more than hip hop. I don't care about that and all of that shit. I like to hear good music. Most of the niggas I listen to probably ain't the most lyrical ass niggas. 99% of them lyrical niggas I don't like.
All right, I had to come back. All right, what I mean by this is my niece broke it down. She said something to me the other day that rattled me. I was saying something about as you get older, you know, I've learned to stay away from white people because, you know, all the stuff I learned about them in history. And she said, Uncle, I've never been around white people like that. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, she was born in Detroit on the west side. Ain't no white folks over there. Her middle school was an Afrocentric school. High school was black. And then from there, she went to Clark Atlanta University. And she's been in Atlanta ever since. Meanwhile, my perspective of the world has been shaped pretty much because I've had to interact with nothing but white people from the military side when I was a kid growing up in the military and even, you know what I'm saying, all throughout my life. So when I look at things from this perspective, I'm looking at it from the social, cultural, and political, and that's how they categorize us, right? For example, the way we dress. We just get up every day and put clothes on. We just get up every day and turn the music on. But imagine me putting on all red, pulling up in front of the BMA, bumping Nipsey Hussle. I scared the shit out them people, bruh. They are not used to that. But if I'm driving in the hood and I'm wearing all red, niggas they gon' check me. That's what I'm talking about is the difference between us and them, right? There is a literal difference. There's a cultural difference. There are literal cultural differences in how we move and how they categorize melanated black people in this country and everything we do, whether it's dress, clothes, music. How do we have so many categories of our music and why?
I'm not gonna lie, Liam. I'm trying to hear the negative in him doing this. Like, I can't comprehend it besides the fact that it's not at a HBCU. Cool. If you work hard, this is anything, my nigga, it's not about money, right? Like, we got kids. Corey, I'm sure you'll agree, bro. Yes, I want my kid to go, but whatever school my kid want to get into, they gonna go. We gonna figure it out. But at the end of the day, it's on them. I can't make them go to Hopkins. You can't make them want to be a doctor that much. You have to want to do it. That's at the end of the day, that's what it is, bro. You have to want to do it. It's not on us. It's not. If anybody want to go to any school, they can go. You can get the loans. You can take the loans out. Yes, it's expensive. You got to pay it back, but that's a part of it. That's also a part of it. And no, bruh, the people that I knew went to Hopkins. We was at the parties, not for no DJs. We knew we was at Hopkins for parties. No, I didn't go there, but just like I was at Bowie, I was at all the other schools for parties. I didn't go there because we know people that go there, bruh. Like, stop playing, yo. Stop playing. I know unlimited niggas that went to Maryland. I know unlimited niggas. If you work hard, you can get to whatever you want to do, bro. If you want to do it bad enough, if you don't want to do it, no, I'm not paying that bread for you to go to fucking Hopkins if that's not what you want to do. So I understand what you're saying, but it is niggas there. And I I don't, like I'm saying, I think it's fire that a nigga like Lupe is doing that, and they want, I'm not mad that they want more black doctors and more black kids seeing that Hopkins is a place. I get that you want them to go to HBCUs and all that shit. They can go to HBCUs, but is it not just as good to go? I would prefer my kids to go to a HBCU all day, but if they want to go to Hopkins, you're going to Hopkins, but you gotta want to go to Hopkins, though. You gotta know that you finishing this shit, because this shit costs some bread.
Huss, I'm not okay. You got to think bigger picture, right? I know you. There are black people to go to Hopkins. Absolutely, they do have a population, yes. But what is the population of melanated black people at Hopkins versus the melanated black people at Morgan, at Coppin, at UMBC? Remember, I graduated from UMBC, so I understand that. Yes, there's no way I would have graduated grad school without. Like, yes, I did it on my own, right? Yes, if you want to be a doctor, you're going to be a doctor. I want to be a museologist. I'm going to be a museologist. But how many black museologists have you heard of, right? In the grand scheme of it, how do we even get in these places, right? The average person, the average student that I taught, that I still see in the classroom, that I interact with on the daily, they're not even thinking about certain things being pushed in front of them because they're not exposed to it. There's no access to it. If you don't even know that a 4-year degree exists at Hopkins, you're not going to even think to even go there. If you don't know that a museum studies program exists at Morgan, then you're not going to know what the museum world is like. You're not going to understand that there is value. Remember that episode where I showed up and y'all gave me the thing about them auctioning off Biggie's crown and Biggie's this, and we had that conversation? That's what this is about. There is value to what we do. There's value to what we wear. There's value to what we say. There's value to us. The hip-hop culture. Rap is an element of hip-hop. The culture is hip-hop, no matter what way you slice it from. I just happen to understand that, hey, there's a commoditization, there's a monetization of literally our culture, and we are not included in it, except for when we get a blue check on Twitter, or we getting from profile views on IG or whatever. They're getting thousands, millions of dollars based on our culture, and we ain't getting it.
Alright, now I'm responding to the pulling up in VMAs, I think you said, bumping Nipsey Hussle that, and wouldn't scare them. If you're invited there, they know you're going to do that. And in the hood, niggas don't check nobody, man. That shit is so, fake to me, bro. That shit is fake as fuck, my nigga. I done been in every hood. I ain't gonna say every hood. I done been in plenty of hoods and just been a regular nigga doing the regular things in the regular hoods, and ain't nobody do nothing to nobody. Like, niggas is just regular, okay? Like, that hood shit, I don't believe in none of that, bro. I don't believe in none of that. Yes, niggas die, niggas get shot in the county, niggas get shot in the city, niggas die, is it more likely to happen in a certain demographic? Yes, of course, that's for a reason. But also, niggas can get jobs and pay taxes and have a better neighborhood.
It's not just about going to a HBCU. It's literally, all right, so like I said, my niece really, I understand that for the most part, people may not have had dealt with the world in certain ways, but those certain ways are keeping us financially locked away, socially locked away, and excluded. We're excluded from all of this. The fact that we don't know the value of art and we're not bidding on hip-hop artifacts. We're not bidding on Biggie's art. We're not bidding, you know what I'm saying? We're not bidding on none of that because we don't understand some of those aspects, right? there are ways that they lock us. I'm talking about us. I'm not talking about them. But if we're going to compete in the future, right? If we're going to compete, how do we compete? Right? That's what I'm saying. How do we compete on their level? Because without competing on their level, we don't make any money. We're at the same level where we've been at since we've got for the hold on. And this is where my research comes in because, like, for example, rap is not new. They've been rapping since the 40s. They've actually been rapping since the 20s. But that's documentaries. But who's going to sit down and listen to or watch a documentary about 1920s music where they were rapping before you got Young Thug? How do we get these new rappers? Where did this come from? That's the historical element. Now you're looking at the social element because what was happening in the 1920s? Black Americans were traveling, they were taking music with them during the Great Migrations, right? Our great-grandmothers were moving from Virginia, Alabama, Tennessee. They were moving to Baltimore, moving to Detroit, moving to New York. They were taking those songs with them. That's what I'm talking about. The history of the music is how do we get here? And if you don't understand the beginning, then you're not going to understand where you're at right now. And that's where I say they're keeping us excluded because we don't know certain aspects of our social, socio-economic and socio-cultural environments.
Bruh, I'm literally confused because I feel like I'm hearing everything you're saying, and you're saying if you don't know, but you know these things because you wanted to know. You want the people that want to know and will find out. Everybody's not going to be interested in that. Everybody don't want to be a hip hop historian. That's not everybody's bag. That's what I'm saying. I don't care about it that much to be considered a hip hop nigga. I tell my homeboys all the time on Facebook. They're like, oh, you should like Kendrick more. You should like da 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 more. No, the fuck I shouldn't. I don't know I shouldn't. I should like who the fuck I enjoy listening to. So, you know what I mean? Not, you know what I mean, cussing at you or nothing like that. That shit just took me, you know what I mean? But nah, it's nothing, I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with it, bro. If you can get into, is it niggas at Harvard? Yes. Is it a very small population? Yes. We're also a very small population of the country too, so we're going to be more concentrated. Obviously, it's a HBCU, the B mean black, so it's going to be black people at these HBCUs compared to a non-HBCU. It's the reason that they have the HBCUs, right? And I agree with you about the thing, because I told you my ex, same thing she said when she went to college, first time she been around white people. She grew up in Atlanta her whole life, so I get what you're saying. Same thing with me. Until I moved to Maryland, I never was around white people like that. From Jamaica to New York, Florida, I wasn't really around white people like that. So yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? I be getting it. So I be speaking from my perspective too. You speak from your perspective. I'm saying everybody don't want to be a hip hop historian. So everybody don't want to be a doctor. The people that do though know these programs exist because they want to know. Nothing can be hidden from us anymore, my nigga. I promise you. If you want to know, you can find out. Everything is accessible and attainable. When you say we, you mean like who? Because that's not my thing. I'm not interested in art, so I get that. But Corey buys pieces, so I don't know the we thing. I guess I don't look. I get what you're saying, and I'm not arguing with what you're saying as far as it's limited knowledge. But these people don't want to know, and the people that know don't really share the information. So we can start there. Let's start at the root. Fine. cool, but niggas be down the art district buying art. It's niggas down there buying art. It is. It really is, bruh. So I don't. Niggas understand the value. Niggas didn't have the capital. You gotta remember that, the capital. Now times is different. Times is definitely different. You also gotta be more present as far as realizing that we are able to get to what we need to get to if we really want to. They can't keep us from nothing no more.
It's not about. You're right, and this is something I learned is that everybody thinks differently. We experience the music differently. We experience school differently, right? But if we can all sit there, if all four of us can have a discussion about the same album from four different perspectives, then aren't we talking about the same thing? That's what I'm getting at. Is we're experiencing this, right? For example, y'all talk about B2K and what was that fucking group, Omarion and all of that, and y'all like, yeah, it hit different because y'all was younger. To me, I'm sitting there like, who is these young ass niggas singing, right? This is not the 90s R&B that I remember. So you're right, we're all experiencing something different. However, what I'm saying is, everybody's not built to go to Hopkins. Everybody's not built to go to college. Everybody's not built to do certain things. But if we're all sharing an experience from different perspectives, then what are the perspectives that go into that thing? Part of that, you're right, there's nothing wrong with what Lupe is doing. Absolutely nothing wrong. Hey, I applaud that. That's what my thesis was about. I literally wrote a 120-page book saying just that. But I'm going to ask you, which one of y'all, or DB already volunteered, but Huss, are you going to read my thesis to go, damn, now I see exactly what this nigga was talking about? Because that was the perspective I was trying to bring and say, hey, I know y'all don't give a fuck about the museum, but I went to the Book of Hove exhibit. That's who we talk about, right? Hove, Jay-Z. He had an exhibit with artifacts talking about our culture. Why not blend all of that together and say, hey, he had the Dope Boy car outside. Well, that's attractive to the Dope Boys. Well, hey, Dope Boys, let's come to this exhibit. Let's learn more about, you know what I'm saying, a little bit about our history as Black Americans, as Black people. That's what it's not about saying, hey, I want you to learn this thing. But if you don't know who you are, anybody can tell you what they want to. And that's what I don't want. Is somebody telling us, the melanated people, the Black people. I don't want anybody telling us who and what we are based on what they study about us.
If we gonna compete, we gotta break the cycle. Like, niggas didn't know you can own a team before Hov and them and so, and niggas didn't know you can get lifetime Nike contracts. Niggas didn't know, like, somebody has to do it. Like, somebody has to do it. So that'd be the thing that I don't like about American Black people. Y'all don't like when niggas take chances and niggas don't when niggas go out on a limb and do something if y'all don't see for you to say think bigger picture, if you should think bigger picture. Now, hip hop niggas like you want, I know you want them to do art and shit, but now niggas is like, all right, I can go to Hopkins to be a doctor, and I like hip hop anyway. This could be a course. Like, it can work out. It can work out, bro. They don't offer this at this HBCU. Unfortunately, they should, right? So you need to be focusing that energy more on the HBCUs, not at Lupe for taking a job that they don't have at another, you know what I mean, at where you want him to take it at. I think that's what's confusing me. Like, you want him to make the like, you know, that I'm saying he didn't go randomly do this and be like, oh, it's Hopkins only, and it wasn't a bidding war for Lupe, and he chose Hopkins. You feel me? He ain't going to the portal, and he chose Hopkins. I'm sure this was offered to him, and he took it. It wasn't offered to him by a HBCU, saying they don't even have it at the HBCU that you were trying to do it at. And I'm saying what you're saying now about the but we've seen and heard of these classes before, way before 2 years ago. So the HBCUs not being up with the time should talk to everything, should say everything. Man, there's a bunch of old niggas running shit that need to get the fuck out the way. That's why I'm cool with all these ex-NFL players becoming coaches at the HBCUs, because now niggas can see, like, all right, I got a direct line to the NFL, nigga. I ain't literally no niggas. I want, like I said, I want my kids to go to an HBCU, but I want them to know that if you don't have to go to an HBCU because it's cheaper, because it's more convenient. You don't have to do that, my nigga. If you want to go to Harvard, hey, we're going at 4 point whatever GPA, because no matter how much bread you got, you gonna need a good GPA, my nigga. You still gotta help yourself. You feel me? You still gotta want to do it bad enough. You can't do it. Hey, yo, Ali, I don't remember saying B2J. I might be wrong. I don't remember saying that. That's funny as shit. You seen the thesis? I read the thesis. I like reading.
Nah, it was one of them episodes, one of them chats where Corey and DB was like, yeah, we should listen to Omarion and the B2K Millennium Tour. We going, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to that shit.
Man, well, I 100% agree with you that I don't want other people telling our history. You feel me? But the fact of the matter is, you know, everybody isn't having that. Like my little sister, I don't know if I told y'all, she went to some HBCUs, and she said it was too, I don't even remember the exact word, pretty much it was too black for her, you feel me? So everybody's not cut out to go there. That's why I wanted my kids to grow up here in Atlanta where they could be like, hey, this shit ain't black enough for me. But, I don't know, bro. And this is a debate for another time. I feel like it seems like there's a difference between pro-black and pro-American black also. This hot take. I'm not gonna lie. I hope Aline ain't offended. I'm having, this is the most I've heard Aline like talk. Like I love it. I love that I'm fired this nigga up. Pause, bro.
All right, so you're right. It's a topic for another day, but like that's basically how I look at the world, and your little sister has the same perspective as my niece. That's why I'm like, I really try to look at different perspectives, right? And this is where I don't want to offend you, Huss, because there really is a difference in pro-black and then pro-black American, because when you look at, if you haven't studied our history, right, and this is where Fat Joe got in trouble. Ain't nobody have a problem with Fat Joe before, because he even said it on the Questlove Supreme podcast. He was like, look, I grew up around 99.9% black people from the time I came up. So to him, he cool. It was, hey, he can say nigga all day. But then, like, for example, you got somebody like J-Lo on that Ja Rule song who said the word nigga, and the world went crazy. But then if you go to the island of Puerto Rico, damn near 75 to 80% of the island is the same complexion as us, right? My wife's grandfather was Puerto Rican. They from the island, from Yauco, Puerto Rico, and he was our complexion. But when he got to this country in the 1950s, during the Civil Rights era, when my parents were born, when black Americans had to sit at the back of the bus, had to experience lunch counter discrimination, where we couldn't go to certain universities because of the color of our skin. And then you have people from other countries who came here and they were shuffled right in. That's the difference. And we're talking about people with the same complexion. That's where the lines get real fine between black, pro-black, black American, the African diaspora. That's where the divisions start to come in. And that's where it starts to feel like disrespectful, because it's like, is it disrespectful to you as a person who came to this country? You know what I'm saying? Or is it disrespectful from us because we're all essentially the same color and we're all black? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. The best example I can give is, i.e., when we was talking about like the Kendrick and Drake thing ran, but damn, I did not want to fucking. But you know, I was like, they said niggas in Canada was soft. Da da da. I'm like, but is niggas not niggas everywhere? Like, cause like you said, if they come here, they niggas. They not Canadian niggas. They still niggas, right? Still niggas.
And yo, I ain't gonna hold you. One of the reasons that I love y'all so much, man, especially DB, and I'm gonna say this, big bro, you have to stop doubting your intelligence. You are way smarter than you think, because like that's the reason why I wrote my thesis the way I did, and I want to get, like, I know people don't give a fuck about the museum. It's boring as fuck. History is boring because it's been taught the same way. The fact that DB was like, yeah, bro, I fuck with museums because of you. Melvin started going to museums because of me. Because I was like, yo, bro, you know, he was like, yo, can I come with you? That's what I want. I want to be able to teach the world different. I want to teach y'all kids, y'all grandkids. I want, you know what I'm saying, folks to be like, yeah, the museum is boring, but damn, if I go in there with this iPad lesson that Aleem gave me, or Aleem sent out, or, you know what I'm saying, I want it to where even if you in Atlanta, like, you can take your kids to the museum, to a museum, and y'all can find something interesting that is for y'all. You know what I mean? Not just walking into the building and just looking at random shit. That's how they structured it. That's what I studied, and that's what I be trying to pull apart, is how to inject our culture, how to get us, right? No matter where we come from. If you got melanin, I want you in the museum, right? Not just learning the boring shit, but the fact that the High Museum turns into a club every Friday, that's major to me, right? That's how I want the world, our world of black people, black Americans, black Jamaicans, black Liberians, black whatever. We all got to experience this together, but it's literally being chopped up and served to us on different plates, and that's how we keeping it, and that's what I don't like.
And I don't want you to think I'm just disagreeing with you. You feel me? I'm understanding. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying, but I also got different POVs. You feel me? Shit, I be hitting the museums, man. I'm a museum ass nigga since a kid. You know what I mean? So, I mean, but also, like I said, I think the difference is, okay, I got it. The difference to me is, y'all feel like y'all are being held back. To me, this is my perspective, right? Americans feel like they being held back by the white people, and people that's not from here just come here and just do things. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? I don't feel like I can't do nothing that they can't do. And I think that's what I mean by the difference in the things. Like, I hear Americans complain about people coming here, studying real hard, going to school, getting their degree, and becoming doctors. The Indians, i.e., Asia, you know, like da 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 da. And I think it's weird because it should be like that, bro. Everybody should be like that. But niggas have this super duper whooper sense of entitlement. That, you know what I mean? You know. Well, shit, I don't know how long y'all been out the country or who you still know out the country, but you know how niggas feel about Americans, man.
It's like when I was bouncing with this guy that Corey knows, Big Mike, and we were talking to this dude from Honduras. And if you know anybody from Honduras, they look like us. They literally the same way you got black Colombians and black Panamanians. He was just black from Honduras, And that's what he said. Mike was like, "You're not black." He said, "I am black. I just speak Spanish." He said, "Well, you're not American." He said, "I am. I'm Central American." And he said, "Well, you're not a nigga." And he said, "You're right." There literally is something to the word nigga in the concept of who is and who is not a nigga, a air quote nigga. Because there are melanated people who are the same complexion as you, me, DB, and Corey, who do not identify with the word nigga, because the word nigga is correlates to black Americans from the 1920s, from the 1930s, from the 1870s, during slavery. And I understand that across the world, slavery is not taught. It's taught to us in this country. We've been learning about slavery. I've been learning about slavery since I can remember, because I have pictures of my great-great-grandparents who were born slaves in Tennessee. So that's when we're talking about the FBA niggas, the foundational black American niggas that Fat Joe seems to have, air quote, a problem with. It's who was foundational in this country. And what they mean by that is, where was your great-grandmother? Where was her mother? Where was her mother born? For about 6 generations, my mother's side, my mother's mothers, all come from Georgia. So that's what they're talking about foundational, is who is foundational to this country, and that goes to the history of who we are. And all right, so one of the ways that we as black Americans are held back is, for one, if you don't understand, or if you haven't studied up on what the crack epidemic did to black Americans in 1986. Well, then you kind of got to go back and realize that 20 years before that, in the 1960s, there were actual chemical and scientific studies being done on certain chemicalized versions of cocaine and how they affect melanated people. So that's where talking to like my parents comes in, who they were teenagers in the 60s and adults in the 70s. And I remember what Detroit turned to in the 80s. So that's where the history comes in, that people from other countries, and it is a thing, Huss, it really is. There are other opportunities that are pushed to people that come to this country that are not given to people that are intrinsic to this country. And that's where the whole foundation of who is black, who is not black, because for so many years, like for example, hold on. So like for example, my birth certificate says black. My mother's birth certificate says colored. My grandmother's birth certificate says Negro. So how is it that there are different classifications for the same people? That's part of the history, that at some point the Negroes, right? We went from being Negro to colored to black, from Negro to colored to black to Afro-American to African-American to now you have to look at the different categorizations of who is and who is not black. There really is something, and that is taught to black Americans from our mothers, right? That's intrinsic to us. Slavery, the American slave system, is in our blood. It's different than the Brazilian slave system. It's different than the Caribbean slave system. It is literally something different in how it's been packaged and how we interact with the society that we live in based on where we come from.
I don't think it's pushed. I think niggas just ain't looking for it. That's just my opinion.
And nah, bro, I'm not offended. Hey, you know me, man. When it comes to culture and you know what I'm saying, that's what I want us to understand, because even though, like my homeboy Raph, he's from Panama, right? He even told me, he said, bro, I came to this country when I was 8 years old. He says his favorite song is First of the Month by Bone Thugs and Harmony, because that's the first song that he learned in English, right? When that song came out, I was 15 years old. I was in Japan when that came out. So that's what I'm talking about but Raph is our complexion. He just speaks Spanish. His grandfather was from Jamaica. But the history of it, he never knew how his grandfather got to Panama. Well, when we was down there, we went and learned about the Panama Canal. And they said, during the early part of the 1900s, 100 years ago, there were over something like 1 million Jamaicans were either forced or somehow went to Panama to build a canal, and they just stayed. And that's how you get dark-skinned and black as fuck Jamaicans in Panama, or Panamanians of Jamaican descent. So that's what I mean by, like, we're everywhere. And no matter if you're Jamaican, Trini, Mexican, Puerto Rican, we all share something with this melanin, and that's what the difference is.